Walker, Season 1, Episode 7, Tracks. So last week's episode left us hanging with several big cliffhangers, and this episode builds on what we learned at the end of last week. Stella is gearing up for an out-of-town soccer game. August and his friend Ruby are tagging along as they are photographers and videographers for the game. Walker calls Captain James and tells him he's going to go with Mickey to San Antonio so she can figure out what is going on with her mom, who was arrested at the end of last week's episode for a DWI hit and run in San Antonio. Captain James tells him that it is fine with him if Walker goes with Mickey. Meanwhile, Captain James and Walker's brother Liam are following up with what they learned about Straw Ring LLP and how it relates to Jerry and the Sidestep Bar. They go down to Reynosa, Mexico to visit the art gallery where the high dollar purchases were made to see what information they can gather and possibly find out who it was that made those purchases just days after Emily Walker's death. We also learn that the boy named Trevor Strand, who Stella likes, is now part of the girls' soccer team as well and is tagging along on the trip because he is the team's water boy. At the end of last week, we learned that he is the son of one of the men who was part of the Rodeo Kings gang that robbed banks that Walker was undercover with as his alias, Duke Culpepper. Now the man, Trevor's father, is in prison for his crimes, and at the end of last week's episode, he goes to visit his father in prison, and his son tells him that Duke is not dead, that in fact he is a Texas Ranger named Cordell Walker, and Trevor's father says to Trevor to make him pay. The coaches and players meet up at the school and load the bus and head to Laredo for the soccer game. They make it to Laredo to the hotel they are staying at, and August is trying to get up the courage to ask his friend Ruby out, but finds out she is already with someone else. Stella's friend Isabel Munoz takes a liking to August and they hang out together for the rest of the trip. In Reynosa, Mexico, Liam and Larry find the art gallery and go to pay the art gallery a visit. Larry distracts the lady who works there while Liam goes through her logbook of people who have been there taking photos of all the pages with his phone. After he gets done, they both leave and the lady who runs the place waits until they are out of sight and then makes a phone call to someone to let them know that the Texas Rangers are down in Reynosa, Mexico, sniffing around. Meanwhile, in San Antonio, Mickey and Walker find her mom and she has been bailed out of jail. Adriana Ramirez tells Mickey that she did it and leaves. Walker and Mickey obtain some of her mom's history and go to interview a few people from her history who may have had an axe to grind with Dr. Adriana Ramirez. They interview several people, but they end up learning very little. However, since all this started, Mickey starts having flashbacks to her childhood, especially memories of her being upset and how her mom would calm her down and make her feel at ease. Mickey and Walker end up at the residence of Officer Mike Stevenson, who Adriana is seeing. Back in Laredo, the soccer team, along with Ruby, August, and Trevor, go to a secluded area to hang out and just play some soccer for fun and just have a good old time before the game tomorrow. Things are going great, but as it gets dark, things take a dangerous turn. Walker and Mickey are still with her mom and Mike Stevenson when Walker gets a call from Mickey's boyfriend Trey, who tells him that the team has gone missing from the hotel and that he is in the process of trying to find out where they are. Walker tells Mickey what is happening. Walker and Mickey leave and head down to Laredo to help Trey find out where the kids are. At the soccer field after dark, the kids are just cutting it loose when four pickup trucks full of rough-looking men drive up recklessly to the field and start harassing the kids. Trevor steps in to try to de-escalate the situation. The asshole guys say they are with the Northside Nation gang. The men threaten the girls on the team, and then things go from having fun to violent in a hurry. The main asshole guy pulls out a gun and threatens the team with it. Trevor rushes him and tries to take him down, only it doesn't work, and the guy overpowers him and gets Trevor to the ground and repeatedly punches him. Trevor is able to get the man off of him for a few seconds and grabs the man's gun, only to have the other assholes pull out their guns, pointing them straight at Trevor. Just as things take an almost deadly turn, Walker and Ramirez come driving up fast. They engage the men. Walker jumps off the truck as Mickey is still driving and tackles the big guy. She stops and Mickey gets out and engages the others in a gunfight while Trey gets out and gets all the kids to safety. Most of the asshole guys flee. Walker uses a few martial arts moves to take down the big guy. Trevor is still there on the field and sees the big man's handgun and picks it up. He starts to point it at Walker, and Walker notices Trevor and decides to make the better choice and hands the gun to Walker just as he finishes cuffing the bad guy. Walker tells him to get to safety with the other kids. At the local police station, they get most of the men booked into lockup. Mickey, Walker, Stella, August, and Ruby go to a secluded location near the Mexican border to do something very meaningful and special for Isabella. Isabella ends up asking August if he wants to go to the dance with her, which he accepts. While near the border, Mickey has a flashback to her childhood, which raises a red flag in her head and in her heart, and she drives off to meet her mom. The next morning, Mickey goes to her mom's house, and a shocking revelation is revealed about Mickey's past, which upsets Mickey a great deal. Back in Laredo that same morning, the girls are on the field stretching and getting warmed up to play. Trey informs them since the head coach failed to act last night, calling parents about the situation and not going with Trey to look for them. He tells the girls that he has been fired and that Trey is their new head coach, and the girls are very excited about that. Cordell is with the other parents in the stands and is on the phone with Mickey, and she tells him what's going on and what she found out. She tells him that she's just going to need some time, and he respects that. After hanging up with Mickey, Cordell is in the stands still, and Trevor comes to find him, and they talk about what happened last night, and Walker tells him he appreciates him for sticking up for the girls along with his kids, August and Stella, and for trying to protect them. Back in Reynosa, Liam and Larry get ready to head back to Austin. As they are headed to the car they came in, Larry takes out his remote control on his keys to unlock the car door when the car suddenly explodes into a huge fireball in front of them. And that is the end of Walker, Season 1, Episode 7, Tracks. This was an incredibly good episode, probably one of the best so far this season. It was action-packed and emotion-packed. It had a little bit of everything for everyone. I'm really beginning to enjoy these stories and these characters. I thought that the friendship between Isabella and August was really sweet. As far as the kids go, I think August is my favorite of the kid characters so far. Things are really starting to heat up and get intense as far as Emily's murder is concerned, but I think it is now time for Liam and Larry to come clean and let Walker know that they have been investigating the irregularities in the case and that the real killer is still out there. I agreed with what Hoyt Rollins said last week that Walker needs to know. Now I'm wondering what is going to happen with Mickey Ramirez with this new revelation about her past that has come to light. So my overall grade for this episode, I'm going to give Walker Season 1, Episode 7 Tracks an A+. This was a great episode, great story, great characters. I still like the original Chuck Norris Walker Texas Ranger show way more, but I like this one as well, just not as much. However, I hope this Walker show gets better and better with each new episode, and so far it has. One thing I would like to see is Chuck Norris make a cameo appearance in an episode or two this season, or maybe in the next season. All in all, great episode. Okay, that is it for this review. I'm going to say good night, God bless, I love all of you, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.